Today on Geeks the Movies, we're reviewing Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Hola, Geek fans! Welcome back. My name's Shane Gurich. I'm joined by Jacob Desitels, and today we're bringing to you a spoiler review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This tells you the original story of how the Death Star plans got found out, how they figured out the flaw in the Death Star, and it brings you all that backstory leading up right into the beginning of A New Hope. Jacob, you're the big Star Wars fan here. Why don't you start off with what you liked about this movie and your general impressions?
Okay, well, I was originally very excited because it's a new Star Wars movie. It's the first of the spin-off films, and I gotta say that I was impressed by this movie. I liked it. I don't think I loved it. I need to see it a few more times, but I don't think it's as good as The Force Awakens or any of the originals, but
Better than the prequels?
Better than the prequels, definitely, 100%. It had great action, some of the best action I think we've ever seen.
Fantastic action.
Also had a lot of very good technical aspects of the film too. Like the film looked beautiful. It had some groundbreaking technology in the film, and they did what they did in the Force Awakens, where they took practical and CGI and blended it together seamlessly, I thought. And so those were my big the main things that I liked about the movie the most. I liked some of the characters, like K2SO. He was great. He was a great addition to the droid family.
Yeah, another droid family member that's beloved by everyone, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I liked the main character, Jin. She had a little bit of emotionlessness to her, I guess, but her
she's a tough girl.
Yeah, her character I liked. I thought she was a solid character, and I along with K2, the other big standout I thought was Donnie Yen's character with the blind guy with the stick. I like him.
The blind guy with the stick, kicking ass.
Yeah, I love how his stick is actually a crossbow, just like Chewie's crossbow in Episode 7. It's very powerful. He takes on a TIE fighter with it. But so those are my big positives about the movie.
I am gonna have to agree with a lot of what you said. What I liked about this movie was the action.
Yeah.
This is a war brought to life. It's always called Star Wars.
Yeah.
But in some sense, I never really got the fact that this is a war or a galaxy-wide conflict. Yeah. Here, they're traveling across a bunch of different planets. I really get the feel for whoa, this is a war. People actually, guess what? They die in war. Mm. This is something you actually see in the movie. All the characters eventually die. We already told you they're spoilers. I mean, so it really feels like a real war film. It drew me in. It drew me in almost from the beginning. We're gonna get to that in a moment. But for the most part, once I got into the film, I stayed into it. I enjoyed it. I don't have any. I have some more I'd say minor complaints. But as a mid-level Star Wars fan, I guess you could refer to me as, I thought this was a great movie. I didn't like it as much as The Force Awakens or the originals. Well, I liked it more than A New Hope, but I didn't like it as much as The Force Awakens or Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. Yeah. And that's coming from, again, I'm not the hardcore Star Wars fan, but I have seen all the films. I do like the franchise. There's a lot of good stuff in this film. Like you said, the special effects are fantastic. And I love how they keep combining the CGI and the practical, something that George Lucas just lost all sight of in the prequels. I just don't understand why. But now let's move on to maybe some issues you have with the film, because there were a few issues here that I felt. What were some of the issues for you?
Well, this is more of a minor one, but first off, let's start with the positive aspect of this. Tarkin is in this film, and he was he needed to be there because he is in charge of the Death Star in the beginning of the first movie.
It would be bizarre if you didn't have Grand Moff Tarkin there. Yeah. It would be weird, but there's some slight issues with Tarkin.
Yeah, the actor, he's no longer with us. He's gone. So they needed to find a way to bring him back to life. And how they do that nowadays is they use CGI, facial recognition software, so something like that.
Right. It's getting better and better. And this is probably the best I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
But you still know it's not him. Yeah. You still know there's something going off.
Yeah. It's definitely the best I've ever seen it. Like they actually add details and emotion to the person's face, but it was a little bit too frozen. And when he spoke, his mouth didn't move quite right. I noticed it was it was just a little bit off. Like if you weren't really paying attention, I don't think you would have had really that much of a problem with it.
No, and if it was just short sequences,
Yes.
but there was some fairly long interactions between
Yeah.
him and other characters.
Yeah.
If they just cut back on a few of those scenes, or shot him from behind,
Yeah.
or in shadow, it would have been fine. But they kind of put it a little bit too much in the forefront.
Yeah.
Like, here it is, look what we're doing.
Yeah, like if they had, I've heard some people say that they should have cut out some Tarkin scenes and replaced them with Vader, because that's another negative here. Vader doesn't have enough screen time in this movie, but when we do see him, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. The final scene, or near the end when Vader's kicking ass, is awesome. But Gareth Edwards, who directed this film, he also directed Godzilla, and I felt, and this was a concern of mine beforehand, is he gonna Godzilla Darth Vader?
Yeah, and he pretty much did.
He pretty much Godzilla Darth Vader.
Yeah.
You see him one scene early in the movie. It's not a very amazing scene. It's cool seeing him, but it's just a dialogue scene. He's interacting with Orson Krennic.
Yeah, he force chokes him, and that was cool to see.
Yeah, it's cool.
But it wasn't what we wanted out of the movie.
No.
And I heard that he didn't have a lot of screen time. Like, and I was guessing that he didn't have a lot of screen time going into this movie. And it's not as big of an issue as Godzilla, because the movie's not called Darth Vader like Godzilla was. So it wasn't as big of a complaint, I thought. But
And they give him a satisfying final scene.
yes, that last final scene where he cuts down all those rebels is amazing.
It's amazing. It's great stuff. You're gonna love it. I mean, if you haven't seen the movie yet, I'm not sure why you're watching this. It's a spoiler review. But if you haven't seen it yet, you're gonna enjoy Darth Vader's short presence in the movie.
Yes, and so that was great, and also hearing James Earl Jones back in the role was great as well. So then some other negatives is also, it's another big spoiler. Leia's in the film at the very end. It's like the second to last shot of the movie before all the ships go into hyperspace and they end up where they are in the beginning of A New Hope. She's there, and they did the same thing with her, where it looked better than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I thought she looked worse than Tarkin did, because her face was just even more. It was like one still picture with the mouth moving. That's what I thought it looked like.
See, this didn't bother me that much,
Yeah.
because I wanted to see the characters there, and I knew for those characters to be there to show young Leia, there's going to be compromises. You can either not show her or show her. You can either not have Tarkin or barely have him or have him.
Yeah, this wasn't a huge complaint because it was the only way they could do it.
Right, exactly.
Except for like not showing their faces, which would have been awkward.
Yes. And another complaint I have is, again, you can't really get around it. This whole premise about showing how they found the plans for the Death Star means that out of the, what is this, eight Star Wars movies now, 4 of them are about a Death Star in some way or another.
Yeah.
Half the films.
I know, and then in the it's not about the movie, but in Revenge of the Sith, we see the initial plans for the Death Star.
So I mean, it's hovering over the franchise, kind of like the Skywalker name's hovering over the franchise. And also, and again, I knew this going in. I knew the characters, at least the majority of them, had to die.
Yeah.
Because we never see them again. So that makes the connection to the characters a little tenuous.
Yeah, that was my problem, because even though I knew most of them were going to die, and they all die, I wanted to feel connected to them, and I felt like Gareth Edwards was just like, okay, they're going to die anyway, so let's not put too much time into introducing them and giving them fleshed out backstories. And I kind of wanted that, because I didn't really feel connected to that many of them. I felt connected to the droid most of all.
That was the only one where I felt bad when he died. I'm like, oh, he's going down. Oh, it's too bad.
And he had a true hero ending.
Yes, he had a true heroic ending.
Yeah, he took down so many stormtroopers and was getting shot the entire time. And then of course, I think right after him was Donnie Yen, and that was also a little bit of a sad ending. But
the problem with Donnie Yen and Base Malbus's characters, they're shown to be really good friends.
Yeah.
But I have no idea why they're good friends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really understand a lot of these characters. They have the pilot, then the movie, the defector from the Empire. I wanted to know more about his defection. What more about what he did? They didn't really give me that. But I expected this going in. I didn't think I was having a big connection to these characters. I knew that they weren't ongoing. That was my thing. Now, one other thing that we both agreed on that we didn't like was the beginning.
Yeah.
The beginning of the movie. So so we knew, we were braced for it. There wasn't going to be an opening crawl.
Yeah.
But then this I didn't expect. They start with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And for a moment, I'm like, oh, they're lying. They're just kidding us.
Yeah.
This could be the opening crawl. But they go from that to a really awkward transition to like a planet scene, and they just start they give a cold opening to Star Wars basically.
Yeah.
And it's just weird.
Yes, it was very weird. What I was hoping they were going to do was they're going to have a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, cue the music, the Star Wars logo is going to come up, but then right below that is going to be Rogue One, and then it's going to transition down to the planet. But instead they just cold open, and they did something very interesting where they transition up to the ship going by.
Yeah.
And it was very weird. It didn't fit at all. And then
it felt like they were doing it just to be different.
Yeah.
When they really this movie I felt really needed a crawl.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people aren't going to understand what happened. We went with somebody that's not a huge Star Wars fan, and I think he was a little confused.
Yeah. I think everybody that isn't, a huge Star Wars fan is not going to understand exactly what's going on right at the beginning of the movie. So they're going to be like, if they don't see, any of the trailers or anything, they're going to be completely confused.
Yes.
And they won't understand until, the first scene where you see the Death Star, which is like 10 or 15 minutes into the movie, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So that in addition to that opening, I also thought the very beginning when we start seeing the dialogue where we meet Mads Mikkelsen's character, who's the designer of the Death Star, we see him and he has his family with him, and it's just a bizarre scene where his wife comes and tries to attack the stormtroopers but gets killed. She seems like just a completely superfluous character that didn't need to be there. I felt the whole intro felt a little awkward, like they stumbled over the starting line, and that kind of tainted the first 10-15 minutes for me.
And they should have just, he says she's dead, but he was lying. She should have actually been dead. And then it would have made more sense for young Jin to run off by herself into the cave where she hides. So and then he's captured by the Empire, forced to build the Death Star.
And it goes from there.
Yes.
So there's no weird awkwardness of this extra character who's like, oh, what do we do with this other character?
I think they definitely stumbled over the beginning there. And this is one other minor, because that was probably the biggest complaint for me, that and how the characters weren't as fleshed out as I wanted them to be. But one other minor thing, which is also a positive, is all the little Easter eggs and references. Some of them weren't so little, and they were more blatant. Like the two guys from the cantina, they bump into them, and then they turn around and go, and like in the big weird bug guy is like, he's like, no, and he like leads them off. They should have just had him bump into them, and then that be it.
Right.
Like, the hardcore fans would have noticed.
Other cameos, though, were done more, you could say, tastefully. Like they showed R2-D2, C-3PO, very briefly. So this had a lot of flavor for true Star Wars fans who will get those Easter eggs and get those moments. And I also really enjoyed just seeing all the various alien creatures.
Yes.
There are so many funny looking aliens here and there that had a weird sound effect or just looked goofy and they were cool.
And this was one of the best examples of them actually fleshing out the universe more, because we get to go to so many different planets in this movie, and they added in, this is something new they did that worked, the little title cards for the planets.
Yes.
That was good. That made people, that would make people less confused to what's going on.
Yeah, because if you're switching, because there's a number of locations they're hitting here, and you'd be like, wait, which place is which, or where are they? But they always tell you right at the bottom of the screen. So it's very convenient having those title cards. So they did a lot well in this movie. The action's fantastic. They got the feel of Star Wars correct. They're continuing that theme from Force Awakens, where they're bringing the modern technology in while retaining the old flavor of Star Wars. It stumbled a little bit with some of the characterization. The intro is a little problematic. I wish there was more Darth Vader. The main villain, Orsit Krennic, he was fine for the obnoxious British guy. He's fine, whatever.
Yeah, he was a fine villain. His acting was, it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
I liked his interaction with Tarkin, where Tarkin took over, and then he goes to Vader. Am I still in charge? And then Vader first shows him.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So
you whiny brat.
So I liked all of the. I liked how the Empire was fleshed out in the movie. It actually showed their oppression over the galaxy. In
Yes,
this movie.
yes, exactly. It really showed it. That was a major thing that was missing in the original trilogy.
Yes.
How they really never showed anything in the other worlds.
They kind of glossed over that and just focused on the main story, which it makes sense for them to do that, but. I think
also had to do with budgetary concerns.
Yes.
Because it's easy nowadays to quickly construct a CGI scene that's going to be used for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Like in the prequels, one thing they did actually fairly well is they brought you different parts of the Empire.
Yeah.
Right? But back in the day, that was much harder to do.
Yeah. So I loved a lot of aspects of this movie, but my main complaints were the facial CGI technology, the beginning of the movie, which was very awkward, and then also the just how the characters weren't really fleshed out and how they weren't introduced that well, I thought.
Except for K2SO.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah,
great one-liners, and he had a great heroic death scene where he's a badass killing a whole bunch of stormtroopers.
Yes.
No complaints there.
Yeah, and probably my biggest positive is the space battles, which we didn't really talk about. The space battles were 10 out of 10. They were amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And also, not only were they really amazing, I wasn't confused.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you have big space battles, you're like, wait, who's where? What's happening?
Yeah.
I can't really figure out the locations of things.
But they transitioned so well to the space battles to the ground battles.
Yes.
Perfectly.
It was one unified battle. You understood what was happening.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. Jacob, though, now let's wrap this up with some scores. You do a 10-point system. What are you going to score this?
I'm going to score this a 8 out of 10. It's definitely not a perfect movie. It has a lot going for it. Definitely. I loved the concept of this movie. How they just took a piece of the original opening crawl and brought it into a movie, and it has a lot of good things. Amazing action, amazing space battles, amazing Darth Vader scene. So a few great characters, and then a few that should have been fleshed out more.
Jacob, I'm going to match your score. I use a star system. I use out of 5 stars. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I think this is an excellent film. I had a lot of fun. I really didn't, while watching, except for the opening awkwardness. Once it went past that, I didn't really have any complaints because I expected some of the flaws of this film. The fact that we're getting another Death Star story. The fact that these characters, I know they're going to die, so I'm probably not going to have a big connection to them. I was braced for that. Maybe if you're not braced for that, then it might be a bigger problem. And this is very hard for me to put my mind in. It could be a problem if you're not a Star Wars fan and you watch this movie. I really don't know what non-Star Wars fans would think. Yeah. If you're just a generic fan of like action movies, you'll probably love it because it has great action. Yeah. But if you're not that, I don't think it's going to connect with the general viewer the same way Force Awakens did. I don't think it's got that same connection. But I still think it's a fantastic movie. So you're giving it 8 out of 10. Yes. I'm giving it 4 stars. Either way, you should go see it. It's an excellent movie. If you like Star Wars, you're probably gonna love this movie with some minor reservations. And this has been Jacob Does Tales. I'm Shane Gooch, and we've been Geeks of the Movies.